Now, it's considered perfectly normal in America, and it's even encouraged in many chain restaurants here in the UK. But where do you stand when it comes for asking for a doggy bag after your meal out? A recent survey has found more and more Brits are doing just that.
And it comes as Spain is set to introduce a new law, would you believe, meaning restaurants will be obliged to offer doggy bags to customers. They say it'll cut food waste and help with the cost of living crisis.
So, should we make the doggy bag law? We're joined now by etiquette expert Grant Harrold, who says we don't need a law on leftovers, and celebrity chef Aldo Zilli, who says you've paid for the food, so you should take leftovers home. Let's come to you first. I mean, we've just spoken to somebody on the show who's pointed out that people out there are trying to make ends meet at the moment. So if you've got food left over in the restaurant, it's going to end up in the bin. So taking it home in a doggy bag is probably the most sensible thing to do, isn't it?
Potentially. I mean, I was mortified at the idea of doggy bags. I've been with friends that have asked for doggy bags and I always get a bit embarrassed. I want to kind of go under the table at that point. But I think...
Why? Because do you think it looks a bit mean or something?
I think, do you know what it is? See, sometimes you go out for a meal and you see how much people get on a plate, especially if it's help yourself, and you see them pile the plates up, and there's far too much food there. And then you can think, it is going to go to... You think, I hope it's not going to go to waste. But what I'm aware of is that there's some companies that can take excess food away if there's things left over, and they actually compost it and it gets used for energy. And also some of it can go to compost. So there's other ways of doing things if there's excess food.
So what do you object to about doggy bags?
I think
What's the case against
I think it's everything, even the name. Even the name just sounds, to me... I mean, originally a doggy bag was for dogs. It was to take scraps for your animals. That was the original reason of it. But I just hate the idea. I think when you're having a meal, you want to have the right amount, hopefully. I know sometimes it can be a bit too much, but there's nothing wrong with leaving a little bit. And then in a private home, obviously it's very different, but from my experience in a private home, if things were left over, it never went to waste. I even know that sometimes we'd even get some scraps to be given to chickens and things, or to animals, so that's the thing. But there is also food banks. If there's excess food in restaurants, I'm aware that sometimes that can obviously be passed on to food banks.
Aldo, I mean, so it's a bit disgusting if you're out for a meal and people are marching about with cartons of food. It's not good etiquette.
OK, well, let's rename it goodie bag then. Because my dog would definitely not eat a slice of pizza or a leftover bit of pasta. Right. My little Romeo would not be well if I gave him the food left over that I'm bringing home from a restaurant. On the other hand, I was brought up in a very poor... I'm the youngest of 9 children. Every time my mother and I went to a wedding, the weddings in Italy, it's like 6, 7 courses. So we took the food home, the leftovers, and we fed the family for nearly a week afterwards.
You took the food home from the wedding?
Yes.
You take a little box with
all
you
the leftovers, yes.
Wow.
My mum used to take this big box with us and we took it home. And that stayed with me all of my life. So every restaurant I've had so far, we always encouraged people to take leftovers.
Would you like to take that away?
Take that home.
Yeah.
And we package it properly, and then it becomes, like I said, a goodie bag because we put all the materials in the bag from the restaurant. So you're taking the restaurant home with you.
Well, Aldo, something like pasta,
lovely.
for example. Could you take pasta home and reheat it?
150%.
How do you reheat?
I do takeaways.
Whenever I reheat pasta, it never sort of works out. What do you do?
Well, restaurants have on their website reheating instructions.
Do they?
Yes. Wow. They should have. If they don't,
okay. Right.
I have. So, you take food home, pasta, meat, pizza. I mean, it's no-brainer, really. Pizza, you go to a pizzeria and the pizzas are like this. No one finishes a whole pizza, in my view. And, take it home. Why not?
This is brilliant. I have to say, there's only one moment when I sort of agreed with you, which is when I was in John Lewis when I was about 6 years old with my grandma. We had some fish and chips, and she insisted on wrapping up the fish skin to put in a handbag to take home for the cat. And for the rest of the day, I was just like, it's not a fish.
That's a different story.
Moments, but otherwise, I'm totally with you, Aldo. I do it all the time.
I'm glad you are, Kate.
I am. We have to leave it there, I'm afraid.
Oh, no.
I'm so sorry. We could talk some more about doggy bags, couldn't we? But we have to leave it there because Mo Gilligan is in the wings.